Hey, my name is Ted Sevransky, probably better known as Teddy Covers. I've lived in Las Vegas since 1998 as a full-time professional sports bettor. I started having success in '99. I was the top 10 finisher in the Hilton Super Contest. I started my first website in 2000. And what's happened since then? What do we had? I had a movie, Life on the Line. I've been on ESPN a bunch of times, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post. We've had plenty of publicity over the years. And I'm still standing, I'm still in Vegas. It's 27 years later. Let's talk about it. So WagerTalk has given me a bunch of questions, and I haven't really looked at them that closely, so let's see how this turns out. I'll flip them right here. What's your all-time favorite sports book in Las Vegas? This one's easy. And much as I love the Westgate, much as I love the Circa, my all-time favorite book will be the one that no longer exists. That's the Stardust. For me, the Stardust was the center of the sports betting universe. My first decade in town or close to it, and I miss it to this day. So Stardust is my all-time favorite sports book. What's the best sporting event you've ever attended? The best sporting event you've ever attended? Desmond making the catch. Desmond making the Heisman Trophy post, probably in Ann Arbor. The Michigan, maybe Michigan, Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State. The Desmond games certainly stand out. Maybe a Fab 5 game too. But there's not one of those that stands out. Desmond making the catch is probably the best of all time. What's the best gambling movie ever? I'm going with The Sting. It's old, but it is a fantastic movie. If you've never watched it, take the time today. I think it's on Netflix right now. I mean, I'm telling you, The Sting. End of argument. End of discussion. End of question. Rank these 4 sporting events: Super Bowl, World Series, Final Four, NBA Finals. Super Bowl's got to go number 1. I mean, Super Bowl is Christmas for sports bettor. I'm putting it 1. I'll probably put Final Four number 2, ahead of NBA Finals. World Series for me is last. World Series is going on when football's going on, so it tends to take a backstage. Other than sports betting, what's your favorite way to gamble? I play poker. That's my other favorite way to gamble. We'll be in the World Series of Poker again this spring. Come and see me. Say hi. Let's see. If you could share a VIP booth at a sports book with any 3 famous people for a day, who would they be? Oh gosh, I don't know. They have to be alive. I'll go with politicians. I think it'd be fun to sit there and watch. If I could have Trump and Obama and me sitting on the same couch, that might be a lot of fun. And who would the 4th person be? I don't know. Jesus? Jesus is always the answer for one of these questions. Behind the bettors. Do you remember your first sports bet? If so, what was it? So, I certainly remember the parlay cards in high school. We would get these parlay cards. All you have to do is pick 3 winners. You make 5 to 1. I don't think I ever picked 3 winners right on those parlay cards. And of course, it was ties, lose, and everything was +3. But the parlay cards that were going around my high school, that's the first bets that I remember. None of them were pretty. Is there a specific NFL season that comes to mind as the best? If so, when was it? That's not an easy one, because there have been a bunch of really good NFL seasons. But there was one stretch. It's got to be, I think it's 2009. The year that the Cardinals covered but lost in the Super Bowl against the Steelers. Great game, great Super Bowl. Kurt Warner made all the plays when I needed him to make them the most. That to me was a magical season. The back half of that season, I think over the last 12 weeks, I hit the 39-13. It really was an impressive run. And that Super Bowl itself, I had Arizona plus. And even with if you remember, there was like a James Harrison 101-yard or 99-yard touchdown right before halftime. I still felt real confident the Cardinals were going to cover. That to me was as locked in as I ever remember being in the NFL that year. All right, behind the bettor. Best advice for sports bettors. Real simple. If you're a sports bettor, you need one piece of advice. This is it. Rome wasn't built in a day. All right? Little edges over time. That's what we have. Little edges over time. That's it. That's the advice I would give. So I know everyone out there is trying to hit big parlay scores and change their life overnight. Good luck with that. Slow and steady wins this race. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of people in sports betting? So industry-wise, everyone's going to give the same answers, all right? I mean, really, it's going to be Roxy for everybody, Roxy Roxborough. It's going to be Billy Walters for everybody. And those two have to be on the Mount Rushmore. But not for me. I'm going to talk about the guys who are most influential to me on my Mount Rushmore. And it starts with two Daves. Dave Koken, Dave Malinsky. Not necessarily in that order, but you're talking about two guys whose handicapping style meant so much to me as I grew up in this industry. Koken and Malinsky, may he rest in peace, may they rest in peace. Let's stand out absolutely as the top two guys on my list. If I'm going to think of somebody else, I mean, Larry Grossman, you can bet on it. When I first moved to Vegas, Larry Grossman was absolutely the radio voice for Las Vegas. And maybe someone like Howard Schwartz, who I don't think is going to get any love, who nobody knows. I remember Howard Schwartz. He ran the Gamblers Book Club here in Vegas. And again, my first 10 years in town, Howard Schwartz was enormously helpful in terms of my sports betting education. So that's where I'm going to go. I understand Roxy's got to be there, but and I understand that Walters has to be there. But on my Mount Rushmore, Koken, Malinsky, Grossman, and Schwartz. Behind the bettor. College football Saturdays or NFL Sundays? This question for me is easy. The answer is it's not an or, it's an and. Yes, college football Saturdays and NFL Sundays. There's not one or the other, it's both. What's your most memorable sports bet? Whew, I got a couple that stand out. None of them are good. The biggest bet I ever made in my life at the time was on the Knicks in the Reggie Miller game. Let's just start with that. That's one that certainly stands out to me. Of course, if you don't remember or don't know it, this is back in the mid-'90s, and Reggie Miller scored 8 points in 8 seconds and took Indiana Knicks from a winning cover to the Pacers winning straight up. It was not amusing for this bettor. But 28-3, you know, we don't need to tell you the Super Bowl. 28-3. That's one that stand out to me. I had Atlanta minus 14.5, minus 17. I had all these alternate lines with the Falcons that looked really good until they didn't. So, yeah, my two most memorable sports bets are probably both losers, which unfortunately is how it goes. If you could only bet one sport for the rest of your life, what would it be? That's an interesting question. That's a really good question. And I'm debating between two right here. I'm debating between NBA and college football. And you say, why not NFL? NFL's hard. You know, you get a rhythm in the NFL, you kill it. But college football and the NBA, when you do your work, you can be confident that throughout the course of the season you're going to make money. It'd be one of those two, and I can't tell you which one it would be. Probably NBA because there's more games and the season lasts longer. So the answer is NBA would be the one sport I would bet for the rest of my life if I could only bet one.